I think Apple kind of pulled a fast one on us. We kind of got too distracted by the new Siri remote that we didn't realize how much the new Apple TV actually sucks, and it's kind of bugging me, even though I do plan on trying it out. And I do think the Siri remote is great itself, and if you already have an Apple TV and you just want to upgrade your remote, that's a probably very smart move, but for me at least, they have completely botched it with the boxes themselves. Let's begin. Here's the weird part about this whole refresh. For one, the new Siri remote is actually cheaper to make for a multitude of reasons. For one, there's a lot less glass in thinness involved, which means that they don't have to work so hard on shrinking everything down to be as thin as the old Siri remote. And before, if you wanted to buy the Siri remote separately, it would cost about $80. Now, the updated one shaved a whole $20 off, which is, if you consider the percentage of the overall product, it's actually quite a bit cheaper now, starting at $59. And I've seen pretty much non-stop praise for this remote. I love that we still have the Siri button, except now we have a traditional D-pad, which is going to work great for all those third-party applications that are porting over to the Apple TV, but you still can scrub and have kind of a click wheel style trackpad experience if you want to. You've got your mute button now, you've got your power button now, you've got a back button. I have very little criticism of the remote. You know, one of the reasons they were able to make it cheaper was because it turns out this new Siri remote does not have an accelerometer or a gyroscope for gaming, and it's interesting because they don't even sell the old Siri remote anymore. They do still sell a $20 old-fashioned Apple remote on the site, but that old trackpad one, they must be very, very embarrassed by it or unhappy with it, because they're not even letting you buy that at checkout anywhere else. Like, they have completely removed it from the site. Even the Apple TV HD, the one that has not changed since 2015 and is still shipping with an A8 chip to this day, even that one they updated with the updated remote. And honestly, it confuses me because I'm kind of fine with the remote not having a gyroscope or accelerometer, because I think the new updated Apple TV with tvOS has been around for a while, and the market has kind of spoken and decided, yeah, Apple TV for gaming stuff, trying to turn it into kind of a Nintendo Wii type system, it's not really working out, and I don't see that many game devs optimizing for tvOS anyway, outside of Apple Arcade, which it's kind of hard to tell how successful of a service that has ended up being. But if you're going to make the remote cheaper and make it less for gaming and more for just content viewing, why not also take that mindset towards the TV box itself? Honestly, the old Apple TV HD that came with the old, more expensive glass and gyroscope equipped Siri remote still costed $150. So I don't think necessarily they've shaved off $20 for manufacturing. It could be more, and they're still charging $60 for the Siri remote. But the fact that they used to be shipping a more expensive remote and now they have replaced it with a cheaper to make remote, but the price of the entire Apple TV has still remained the same at $150 with no new silicon on that entry-level model. And now we got the A12 chip on the 4K Apple TV, but even with that updated Siri remote, they're still starting at $180, and they're still keeping it at 32 gigs of storage. On top of that, they still, to this day, do not include an HDMI cable, even when you're dropping $200 on this streaming box. To me, this would have been the perfect time to lower the price of the Apple TV and have a more entry-level model. Basically, I think the Apple TV needs kind of a HomePod mini approach of, okay, we tried to go overkill with the full-size HomePod, not too many people wanted it, so let's make a more affordable, very practical version that's just below $100, and now that's selling really great because the smart speaker is deemed by the market as kind of worth it when it's around that $100 price point. I don't think the market, though, is very happy with these Apple TVs that honestly aren't that small, and they're not that affordable compared to just other consoles or other streaming sticks you can buy now. And it's crazy to me that Apple, the company that knows how to make really power efficient chips and how to make very thin, very portable designs, they always pride themselves on that, after all these years has still not found a way to shrunk the Apple TV box. You know, they found a way to make the iMac 11 millimeters thin, which is very technically impressive, but with the TV box, they're still like, nope, that's got to be a thick little brick that sits under your TV. And the A12 chip mainly allows for better HDR support. They threw an HDMI 2.1 port on the back now so that you can have high frame rate content, and it's rumored that it could eventually support 120 hertz, but it won't at launch at least, which again, A12 chip versus A10X, it's really not that different in regards to day-to-day use for someone who's just watching a TV. And I'm not even saying you have to turn the 4K Apple TV into a little streaming stick, but Apple, if you're still going to be selling a non-4K Apple TV with an A8 A8 chip. I don't know anything else Apple makes that still rocks that A8 chip. They got rid of the HomePod. That was the only other one that was rocking it. But at least have, you know, the entry-level model, right? That could be below $100, and maybe it's not great for gaming, but it's going to get the job done when it comes to just content viewing, watching your favorite shows and covering the basics for what a TV is used for, which in the case of the Apple TV is rarely gaming. And I'm happy to see that Apple kind of is understanding the remote needs to be more focused on content viewing, not so much gaming, but they didn't apply that same logic to the TV box itself. And I guess the reason this kind of bums me out a bit more than normal, even though I'm not really in the market for an Apple TV in the first place, is that Apple does not update this thing every year, okay? The Apple TV 4K before this recent refresh had remained unchanged since 2017. It had nearly been 4 years since Apple did anything with the Siri remote or the Apple TV box itself. After 4 years, this was the CPU upgrade we got, and before 2017, they hadn't really done much with the Apple TV 4th generation since 2015. So again, this is not a product they refresh annually. This is something that they tinker with once in a while and then kind of leave by itself for years and years and years, which means it could easily end up being 2023 or 2024 before Apple actually decides to address this streaming box thing again. And, you know, maybe I'm missing the point. Maybe plenty of people are buying it, so Apple doesn't really see much purpose in shrinking the price of it. But if that were the case, I have to imagine they wouldn't have gotten rid of the Siri remote if the Apple TV was selling so well. They seem to have really abandoned that old trackpad design in replacement of this new one, which is cheaper and it doesn't have a gyroscope or accelerometer. And I don't think they would have done all those things if the Apple TV 4K before this refresh was selling great and doing well. So I hope that there's some other refresh we could be getting later in this year where they make an actual streaming stick that's more affordable, optimize this box for what it really is supposed to be, which is good for watching movies and TV shows and YouTube. It's not supposed to be a gaming console. As much as Apple really wants it to be, they're clearly no longer prioritizing it by no longer shipping remotes that have gyroscopes or accelerometers and that type of thing, which I remember them being very proud of with the old Apple TV, of like, yeah, you can do all this gaming with the remote, but now that it supports PlayStation controllers and Xbox controllers and third-party controllers, I guess they're just kind of falling back on, well, I guess if you want to do gaming with the Apple TV, you're gonna have to buy some additional hardware, and we know you probably have a PlayStation or Xbox already. So at that point, they're not even really competing with other consoles. They're just like, you probably have a controller, just use one of those. And I really hope that even if they don't want to update the design of the Apple TV, we could at least get a pretty meaningful price cut. In my opinion, it's criminal that $150 Apple TV from 2015 is still being sold on the site, except now with an even cheaper to manufacture remote. But even though they found a way to make that remote cheaper, they were like, we don't need to lower the price of the TV itself. We're just gonna leave out a bunch of stuff from the old remote and enjoy that profit margin on that entry-level model. That thing needs to cost under $100 in my opinion to even exist on the Apple Store anymore. But I would argue that all streaming boxes and streaming sticks these days should probably support 4K. It's weird that they're still diversifying and having one model that does support it and one model that doesn't, and there's only $30 in between the two. It just feels weird. Both of them are more expensive than they should be, and I hope that there can be some more updates on that soon. What do you guys think? Am I crazy for thinking that these Apple TVs need to be way more cheap, or am I making any lick of sense in today's video? Feel free to let me know. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you guys in the next one.